Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. I hope you are enjoying all these episodes, or if this is your first episode, well, welcome. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm Yoel, and today's episode we're going to be talking about someone who means a lot to me, and that is my sister, Hannah. Hannah is 32, and the reason why I'm doing this is because she is 33 tomorrow. Now, this is going to be posted today, but if you listen to this tomorrow, this is Hannah's birthday. And you're thinking, oh, why is Joel doing a video on his 32-year-old sister? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because Hannah is, over lockdown, was the most consistent person I know, with any physical activity. Hannah has Down syndrome. She has when she was born with a heart condition. This is really interesting. This is always hard to challenge. This is always a challenge to say this out loud. So she's non-verbal. She has mobility issues, mobility challenges. She's in a wheelchair most of the time, but she can do some walking. So sometimes when she go for a walk, she'll go in the wheelchair. At the end, she'll go like down the road. She'll get out of the chair. She'll go for a walk, but it's very, very slow. It's very sweet. It's very, very slow. Sometimes she'll use the chair, a lot slower paced than myself or maybe you listening to this podcast. And the reason why I'm doing this short episode is just to recognize her achievement over lockdown, because over lockdown, obviously, gyms were closed, everything was closed, physical activity. A lot of people didn't do much activity. It was an opportunity just not to do any. Hannah loves Zumba. So she did Zumba a lot once a week, I think, this Zumba class. She loved it. And obviously over lockdown, that didn't happen because we were shielding. And then Hannah, there was online classes, and Hannah 5 days a week did Zumba it was like 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 5 times a week for probably 18 months, 5 times a week doing Zumba. And for Hannah, who is I don't know her height, but actually, this is from putting my coach hat on. It was a great activity because at the end of it, she worked through different zones. She was working through different energy systems. You could tell that it was a good workout for her. There was a bit of sweat sometimes. She could do the heart. There was more harder breathing, and she needed a lot of water afterwards. And yes, on the Zumba, it wasn't like she was doing all the dances that the instructor was doing. It wasn't like that, but it was her version. So she had her hands on the table support. She was kicking her legs. She was moving her hands, and she got mobile as well. So over time, you could tell the progress in her movements because she was able to lift a leg a bit higher or move more or not use the chair as much for maybe a movement she tried to do. And it was just a kind of life lesson for everyone, really. It's about you need to do something you enjoy. Hannah really enjoys Zumba. And that's the reason why she was able to stay consistent with Zumba. And with any goal you have, the goal should be consistency, because you've got to think of an activity you could do in 20 years' time, 30 years' time that you could think about doing now. And if you're doing an activity that you're not enjoying, how are you going to do it in 20, 30 years' time? You may as well find something that you do enjoy. And that's the most important thing with the physical activity, is finding something that you enjoy. And this was over lockdown, and then we saw she was more active, she was more mobile. I could tell that her flexibility increased massively from when we first did it until when she ended it. It was really, really cool, and more energy, and it's really, really good. So just a little message to you is learn from Hannah. Take from Hannah. Of course, you don't have to Zumba if you don't want to do it, but take finding something you enjoy. Find something you enjoy, something you can stay consistent with, and you can progress it over time, because that's the most important thing about anything. Is yes, it's really, really good to be active and so on, but how can you progress over time? Because you want to challenge yourself, and over time you did challenge yourself. The sessions were longer. She did some more challenging moves and so on, etc., etc. So even Hannah was progressing over time, and yeah, I don't think there's nothing much to talk about much more. It's just a little recognition, and obviously everyone's got their own challenges, but yet you can find something that you enjoy. That doesn't really matter for anyone else. If you enjoy it, that's great. You should stay consistent with it. if you enjoy Zumba, if you enjoy that trampolining, if you enjoy moving and walking, if you enjoy running, and you can stay consistent with it right now, then anyone else's opinion doesn't matter, because if you can stay consistent and you really, really enjoy it, you've won. You've won. So many people do so many things with fitness and exercise, and they absolutely dread. And then 2 weeks' time, they made a bit of progress, but they can't stay consistent. So they go back to plan A and they do it 10 times, when the person who actually did this thing they enjoyed, they can stay consistent with, 6 months on, still doing that movement and made so much more progression than someone who tries to go for the quick fix again and again and again. Now, that's obviously if there is other goals, but right now, when you are trying to be active, when you're trying to do something you enjoy. Don't focus about doing the best thing in the world, because the best thing in the world maybe not something you enjoy. So why would you do it? So this little short episode. Happy birthday, Hannah. This is for Hannah. Happy birthday. Hope you have a lovely day. And anyone listening to this, obviously you can see I'll be doing a post of Hannah on my IG, on Instagram, and so on. So you can see Hannah, and maybe I'll post a video on the. What I'll do is I'll tag, because obviously I share the podcast on this, so I'm going to tag. I'm going to link the podcast in my story, and I'm going to do a video of her doing a Zumba. So now you can actually see visually the Hannah that I was explaining in this episode. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Love from Hannah, and thank you so much for listening, and speak soon.